Hello guys, support Sanders the Great by subscribing and getting us to 1,000 subscribers. We truly appreciate the support. Right now, a quiet war is raging behind closed doors in the NFL, and one rookie just set off an explosion that threatens to incinerate a billion-dollar empire. When Shedeur Sanders bypassed traditional sports agencies to negotiate directly with front offices, league insiders didn't just panic, they actively made him pay for defying their sacred cartel. From a historic draft day collapse to a mind-blowing $17.7 million financial loophole, this is the story of how the Sanders family completely shattered the NFL's unwritten rules and redefined athlete power forever. To understand the sheer magnitude of the quake Shedeur Sanders caused, you first have to understand the invisible engine that drives professional football. For over half a century, the National Football League hasn't just been run by team owners and players. It has been quietly governed by a powerful, entrenched cartel of certified sports agencies. Firms like CAA, Athletes First, and Klutze Sports operate as the indispensable middleman in a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem. They do not merely negotiate base salaries and signing bonuses. These mega agencies control the narrative, act as primary sources for national news brokers, shape public perception, and shield fragile front offices from direct confrontation with the young men risking their bodies on the field. They are the glue, the spin doctors, and the enforcers of an elite sports hierarchy. Then came the 2025 draft cycle, and the Sanders family single-handedly ripped up the script. When front office executives, draft analysts, and league intermediaries picked up their phones to begin the standard dance with Shedeur Sanders' representative, they didn't reach a sleek agent in a custom suit operating out of a Manhattan skyscraper. Instead, they found themselves speaking directly to Deion Sanders, along with a tight-knit family counsel and trusted legal advisors. There was no certified agent skimming a percentage off the top, no corporate suit serving as a buffer, and no allegiance to the traditional agency pipeline. The announcement sent shockwaves straight to the highest corridors of the league, morphing what should have been a standard pre-draft evaluation into a direct challenge to the NFL's balance of power. The reaction from top agents was instant and venomous. For decades, the agency ecosystem relied on absolute control. If a marquee quarterback like Shedeur could navigate the jump from college to the pros on his own terms, the entire business model faced systemic disruption. Front offices were equally unsettled. Traditional general managers are accustomed to a comfortable buffer, an insulated framework where an agent takes the brutal feedback, soft sells lowball offers, and smooths over delicate egos. Removing that buffer meant team executives had to deliver cold, transactional evaluations directly to a star quarterback and his Hall of Fame father, creating an unprecedented dynamic where every negotiation detail felt personal, immediate, and volatile. Bypassing a certified agent is not merely a breach of league etiquette. Under the NFL's collective bargaining agreement, it is a high-stakes tightrope walk over a financial abyss. The league operates under extraordinarily complex rules regarding contact windows, official representative certification, and legal communication channels. One misstep in direct communication can trigger formal grievances, union investigations, or severe procedural penalties. Yet, the Sanders camp marched forward, fully aware that they were venturing into hostile territory without the standard corporate safety net. As the draft approached, the traditional machine began to push back with devastating force. Anonymous front office quotes began leaking to major media outlets, painting the unconventional representation as a red flag, a distraction, and an irreconcilable conflict of interest. The narrative shifted from evaluating Shedeur's elite arm talent and poise under pressure to questioning his leadership and personal framework. League insiders were genuinely rattled, not because Shedeur lacked the talent of a franchise savior, but because his existence as an unrepresented rogue threatened the very infrastructure of their control. The stage was set for an epic collision between an immovable system and an unstoppable family brand, setting off a chain reaction that would culminate in one of the most controversial, financially transformative draft stories in the history of professional sports. To truly grasp the friction that brought the league to a standstill, one must first dissect the inner mechanics of the traditional NFL agent machine. On the surface, an agent's role appears simple: negotiate the highest guaranteed contract possible. But in reality, the modern sports agency functions as a shadow government within professional athletics. Under the NFL's collective bargaining agreement, agents are permitted to take up to 3% of a player's playing contract and up to 20% on off-field marketing deals. Across a standard draft class, these commissions translate into tens of millions of dollars funneled directly into massive agencies. In exchange, agents serve as the primary conduits for top-tier sports journalists, trading exclusive insider scoops on player injuries, holdouts, and trade demands for favorable media coverage that protects their clients' reputations. By stepping into the draft process without a certified agent, Shedeur Sanders was not merely cutting out a service provider, he was threatening to dismantle a lucrative pipeline that sustained both agents and league executives alike. But this move was not born out of naivety. It was a calculated play drawn straight from the family blueprint. Decades earlier, Deion Sanders revolutionized athletic representation during his own legendary playing career. Prime Time understood better than anyone that an athlete's true leverage lies in their direct relationship with the public, not in the backroom handshakes of corporate representatives. Deion navigated his own multi-sport negotiations, challenged team brass directly, and brought that exact unyielding philosophy to his sons. From day one, Shedeur was raised with the understanding that his name, image, and athletic output belong solely to him, not to an agency taking a tax on his hard work. When front offices realized the Sanders family was serious about handling negotiations without a traditional agent, the initial friction was swift and cold. Phone lines between team headquarters and draft analysts began buzzing with quiet concern. Front office personnel, accustomed to dealing with compliant agencies that smoothed over delicate negotiations, found themselves directly facing the unfiltered demands and supreme confidence of the Sanders camp. Without an agent to act as a soft cushion between the player and the front office, every conversation carried weight, intensity, and a lack of corporate filter that made traditional GMs intensely uncomfortable. It did not take long for the establishment to weaponize its greatest asset, narrative control. Almost immediately, the sports media ecosystem began filling with scathing anonymous quotes from league insiders and unnamed team executives. Stories began circulating that Shedeur's representation model was unconventional, unmanageable, and a potential locker room distraction. Pundits who routinely relied on agencies for their breaking news began questioning whether Shedeur was truly serious about the professional process, framing a brilliant financial strategy as a red flag regarding his character and willingness to be coached. This leak campaign was a classic league counterattack designed to enforce conformity. By publicly casting doubt on Shedeur's setup, the NFL establishment sent a clear warning signal to every other star prospect contemplating a similar path: fall in line with the traditional system, or watch your reputation be picked apart in real time. The invisible machine was pulling every lever at its disposal to protect its legacy framework, setting the stage for a tense draft day battle where business strategy and personal pride would clash on a global stage. The inevitable collision between the Sanders family's strategy and the league's entrenched power structure arrived with brutal clarity during the 2025 NFL draft. For months, Draft analysts and media outlets projected Shedeur Sanders as a consensus top-tier quarterback, a star talent destined for the upper half of the first round. But behind closed doors, a silent consensus was firming up among league front offices. As round after round passed without his name being called, the world watched a historic, agonizing draft day slide unfold in real time. The relentless media campaign, fed by anonymous executive quotes and lingering establishment skepticism over his unconventional representation, culminated in a dramatic tumble. By the time the dust settled, Shedeur was selected in the 5th round with the number 144th overall pick by the Cleveland Browns. To the casual observer, falling from a projected top 10 pick down to the 5th round looked like a catastrophic financial disaster. Critics and traditionalists immediately claimed victory, arguing that bypassing a corporate agent had cost the rookie tens of millions of dollars in guaranteed money and draft capital. But those making that argument fundamentally misunderstood the financial architecture of the modern NFL. Under the collective bargaining agreement established by the league and the players' union, rookie contracts are almost entirely slotted based on draft position. Base salaries, signing bonuses, and contract lengths are predetermined by an unyielding mathematical formula. Because of this rigid structure, even the highest paid agent in sports cannot negotiate a higher base salary or bigger signing bonus for a rookie than what the draft slot dictates. When Shedeur officially put pen to paper in Cleveland, he signed a 4-year rookie contract worth $4.65 million. Because the negotiation parameters were strictly defined by his 5th round slot, the actual administrative heavy lifting involved in executing the deal was minimal. By managing the process through his inner circle and specialized legal counsel rather than paying a traditional agency 3% of his playing contract, Shedeur immediately saved hundreds of thousands of dollars in baseline administrative fees on his standard contract alone. Every dollar of his base salary went straight into his pocket, completely unencumbered by middleman commissions. Yet the league's message had been delivered loud and clear. Defy the system and you will pay a steep tax in public perception and draft positioning. By allowing him to drop into the 5th round, the NFL front offices believed they had reined in the young star, asserting their dominance and proving that no player, regardless of their family pedigree or personal brand, could completely bypass the establishment without facing consequences. But what the league saw as a harsh lesson, the Sanders camp saw as a minor speed bump. The traditional agents and executives thought they had won the battle over his playing contract, oblivious to the fact that Shedeur was playing an entirely different game, one where the real money was never meant to come from an NFL paycheck in the first place. While the traditional NFL establishment was busy congratulating itself for orchestrating his draft day slide, Shedeur Sanders was quietly executing a financial masterclass that completely flipped the league's leverage on its head. The real genius of bypassing traditional agencies became crystal clear when the NFL Players Association filed its annual financial disclosures, revealing a jaw-dropping reality. Shedeur generated a historic $17.7 million in NFL group licensing income during his first year alone. He didn't just top the league, operating through his personal entity, SS2 Legendary. He shattered the previous all-time single-season record of $9.5 million held by 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady, nearly doubling it as a 5th-round rookie who hadn't even taken a snap. This eye-watering $17.7 million figure wasn't derived from custom individual shoe deals or isolated corporate endorsements, but purely from group licensing, the passive royalty stream generated by jersey sales, trading cards, video games, and official league merchandise. By retaining total control of his brand infrastructure rather than handing a middleman agency a 20% cut of his off-field earnings, Shedeur pocketed tens of millions in pure profit, completely dwarfing his entire four-year $4.65 million base playing salary. The fans who followed him from Jackson State to Colorado and into the pros voted with their wallets, turning his personal brand into an unstoppable commercial juggernaut that completely outpaced every veteran in the league. Faced with this unprecedented dynamic, the Cleveland Browns front office, led by general manager Andrew Berry, was forced to adapt quickly. Instead of dealing with an entitled or defensive rookie, Berry and head coach Kevin Stefanski found themselves communicating directly with an astute, family-led business operation that held absolute financial independence. Shedeur didn't need his team paycheck to pay his mortgage or finance his lifestyle. His economic self-sufficiency gave him a level of personal freedom and leverage almost never seen in a developmental quarterback. By sidestepping the agency tax and building a direct-to-consumer sports empire, Shedeur proved that the traditional NFL wage scale is merely a fraction of a superstar's true earning potential in the modern era. The front offices thought they had put him in his place by dropping him to the 144th pick, but the financial receipts proved otherwise. Shedeur Sanders had exposed the ultimate secret of modern sports business. When an athlete owns their brand infrastructure outright, the establishment loses its ability to control them. By defying the establishment and proving that a player can achieve record-breaking wealth independent of a traditional agency, Shedeur Sanders set a game-changing precedent that echoes far beyond his rookie season. Self-representation in the NFL is not entirely brand new. Generational superstars like Lamar Jackson famously negotiated elite contracts alongside family advisors. But what sets the Sanders model apart is the integration of a multi-million-dollar media machine, direct brand ownership, and direct-to-consumer monetization strategies built long before ever entering an NFL locker room. Shedeur didn't just ask for a seat at the table, he brought his own table, complete with millions of dedicated followers and an independent ecosystem that traditional agencies could neither touch nor tax. This bold blueprint fundamentally alters the landscape for future generations of elite college athletes navigating the modern NIL era. Prospective stars watching Shedeur's journey now see a clear alternative to handing over percentage cuts of their hard-earned income to corporate intermediaries. As high school and college prospects build massive personal brands and earn millions before even setting foot in the professional ranks, the traditional agency promise of off-field access becomes increasingly redundant. The power dynamic has officially shifted. Players enter the league as fully realized corporate entities, possessing the leverage and resources to dictate terms rather than conforming to an outdated hierarchy. Yet, the ultimate question remains whether Shedeur's gamble truly triumphed over the system, or if the league succeeded in imposing a temporary tariff to guard its legacy structure. The NFL undeniably made him pay an upfront price on draft day, engineering a dramatic drop to the 5th round to preserve its traditional negotiation buffer and warn future prospects against defying the cartel. That draft day slide cost Shedeur prestige and immediate draft capital, temporarily allowing front office traditionalists to claim victory. But in the end, that short-term penalty paled in comparison to the long-term freedom and unprecedented financial dominance he secured by owning his enterprise outright. The legacy system may have exacted its toll, but Shedeur Sanders ultimately proved that when an athlete holds the keys to their own brand, the establishment can no longer dictate their value.